Ho, 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 ho. I thought I'd be financially independent when I was this age. I thought I could give to my grandchildren. I thought I'd have property to give them and things to will away. I had all of those things in my 30s, but I've lost them all. I don't have anything to give anybody. Just a hug and some wisdom.
You have on your checking account $20.
That's correct.
And you also have a saving account with $5.
That's correct.
Welcome to Festive Finance Action, the show where we take action. My name is Romain, and today, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to introduce you to Santa.
Ho, 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 ho.
Awesome. How are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Let's look at your profile. So Santa, you have also as an alias John, but you also come in as Jolly Old Santa Claus. You are 61 years old, you're originally from Seattle, you're retired, but you also work during the holiday as Santa, is that right?
That's correct.
Looking at the way you've rated your personal finances, I'm gonna call you Santa. From
Absolutely.
chilling to Mayday, you've rated yourself, ladies and gentlemen, this one is tough to hear, as Mayday. So, let's go step by step into your story, and at some point we'll be also discussing kind of your whole world of Santa that you're interacting with during the holiday period. But I want to
The good part, that makes me feel good.
That's why I love to hear that. But first, let's understand the person that you are. So, from your application, you've been in the Air Force. So, thank you for your service on that
You're
for
very
6
welcome.
years.
Yes.
And you've also worked as well in construction. That has
Yes.
been kind of your living for about 20 years.
That's correct. I started out in construction, basic labor, digging ditches for the lowest wage they had. And by the end of 20 years, I was pretty proud. I was in upper management on a job that was a $120 million job with a 500-man crew.
Whoa.
So that was pretty good. I felt pretty proud of that achievement.
That's awesome. Okay, and then through that time, then afterwards, you found yourself, as you mentioned, to have quite a bit of health issues. And that has kind of strumbled a little bit your life, I imagine, right?
Immensely. I had to close down some businesses that I operated. And, that was the 2008-9 recession. And then the stress of, nobody wanted to hire a business owner from their 50s, So I had a stroke. That took 8 months to not slur, not drop things with the right hand, and not hobble on my right side.
Wow. Okay, and that's probably why then you're coming here today with a pretty tough financial spot. It's been kind of a succession of experiences.
Right. 4 heart attacks, 3 heart surgeries. That was the next one that came through. And that shut me down for quite a while. That was going through COVID, which made that a little extra difficult for me because during COVID in the hospital, you can't have nobody come in. There's nobody in there on your behalf. It's just strangers around you. And you got to sign paperwork and take medications and be shaven and meet people and do things and tested and operated on. And you don't really understand what the heck's going on because you don't have somebody there reading or helping you figure out what's going on. You're just by yourself with all these people, and then nobody's allowed to come in. And when I first went in, there was no test. Everybody was in a panic uproar of the COVID. We hadn't had the tests out yet.
Oh my.
Right, and the next time I came in, they had the tests.
So you had your heart attack at the beginning of COVID?
Yeah, at the very beginning, it was horrible. It was mass hysteria, and it was a pretty scary experience for me, honestly. And I can take a lot. And the second time. It was a pretty tough time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, I'm sorry for that. I just relived that moment.
Yeah. Okay. So I can imagine all of that, and that brought you, with much respect, as I mentioned, in a pretty disastrous financial position that you're finding
Yes.
today.
Yes.
But on your heart, and you're presenting yourself today as Santa, this has been something that has been very important for you. So I would love now to dive into that magic that you're bringing
Let's do
to
it.
kids every year.
Let's do it.
So let me ask you a couple questions that I feel are very interested me. Somehow, guys, I can tell you, living through even this podcast, I feel a mix of emotions because I don't know. It's kind of a very different experience that I may say. Kind of having the person behind the magic makes it very special, and I hope that you're going to feel as we walk through some of those questions. So, how long have you been Santa for?
I think this is my fourth or fifth year.
Fourth or fifth year?
Mm-hmm.
And what has been kind of your motivation behind going this way?
Well, they had a Santa Claus early on in 2018, 19, excuse me, not be able to pull the Santa Claus position. And they asked me, hey, we need a fill-in. Can you do it? Being a heavyset man, I had a beard. I said, well, sure, I'd give it a shot for you. Fill in. And that's when I fell in love with it. That's when I fell in love with the kids. And they've asked me back every year. I've got kids that are going to come see me 4 years in a row now. I'm on the fireplace mantle in their tree. I'm in their albums. And I just one day, one time with the kids, and I'm like, I got to do this. And I do it. Like I said, I do it for free. They can donate. I do it every year. They line up by the families by the hundreds for hours and hours. They can let them crawl over me, take great pictures. Let mom and dad take the pictures they want. Got the Twin Peak Mountains, and if they want to donate, they can. And if they don't have any money, that's okay, because I don't want any children not to see Santa.
So what are some of the emotions that you feel when you're kind of this character that is the magic to so many kids that are coming to see you and kind of being that person? Like and I don't know how to even describe it. How do you feel?
Oh, it's an honor. I did it first, like I said, as a fill-in. Let me wipe my eyes here. But when you get to sit with the kids for real and see them bring you their letters, their inspirations, you don't want to let them down. They write a letter that says, my dad got laid off. My mom's sick. We were told we're not having much of a Christmas, but I got to come here and see you, and I just want my mom to get better. I just want my mom to get better. I'm not asking for a book or a toy. Just want my mom to get better.
Yeah.
So I'm there for them. I love the kids. They come up. They bring me their letter. I let them sit on my lap. We go over their lists. I said, well, we're going to list. You guys can take pictures. And I talk to them. They pull my beard. I say it's going to snow tonight because you pulled my beard. My gosh, I mean, they ask you everything. And these kids are, the second year I did it, it was just magic because I seen them last year.
Wow.
And they remembered me. And now they've got their letter, and they can't wait to come up and talk to me because they know me. And to them, they're real Santa Claus. And this is my fourth year. The twins, I'm going to see the twins. I keep saying about the twins. But these two little girls, I've been seeing since they were 3. They're like 6 or 7 now. They're little girls, not little babies, And so, you see these hundreds and hundreds of families, and, not to be able to see a Santa Claus, that'd just be just wrong. When kids come, I'm doing this Brownsville, they don't have a Santa, and I volunteered for them. They're all volunteers. They're a great group of people. And we'll probably have 2 school districts, 800 or 900 kids show up with their parents.
800 or 900 kids?
Oh, yeah. And so, we're hoping for the thousands. They asked me to contract with them for years. I said, well, 1 year at a time. But I made them go buy a mailbox and paint it red and put North Pole on it and put the flag up to put it beside me. And I said, because at all my venues, I put out there early on for everybody to know. Everybody that's going to come already knows where I'm at in December. Because I want them to know the kids can write their letters down, what they want to say to Santa, and I will sit down, me and Quincy, my number 1 elf, and we read every single letter and return it. And they get a return from the North Pole from Santa.
So you're taking your time.
Oh, they put and now kids now that I've been doing this for years, almost every child's got
so how many letters do you end at the end of this?
Hundreds and hundreds. We'll sit for days. We tell them we got to have 2 weeks because we can't read that many letters in that short a period of time. But we want to read every one of them. And we'll sit and cry Because, like I told you, it'll say my dad got laid off, my mom's sick, they've already told me we're not going to have a good Christmas. I'm not asking for anything, just mom to be healthier.
Yeah.
And then you got to return that letter.
What do you say?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's just one example. So we'll take weeks of agonizing reading these letters because some of them are very personal. Granted, 70% of them are, I'd like to have this, like this, I've been good. Da, da. But there's the ones in there that are, they're asking for help. They're asking for a savior. They're asking for a miracle. You know, and how do you respond to that? You know, very delicately.
Okay.
I was thinking that if it gets much bigger, I would have to hire somebody to volunteer their time, like a gentleman like you, that could sit and read them and feel that emotion that the kid's talking and answer on behalf of Santa. Because I can't read, if it gets in the thousands, I can't possibly read the letters. I need somebody to read them and make a reasonably good sound return.
Response.
Yeah, because the worst thing for them not to get nothing. They drop their letter off in response to get a response.
So you mail them back? There was
We
the
mail
email address?
every one of them
There was
their
a mail
address from Santa from the North Pole. That's right. They open up, they comes
And you
got
write
their
them
name on
with
it.
the hand?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Holy
every year.
smokes.
It's great. It takes a lot of time and energy, but it is so rewarding. Not financially to do that, but rewarding.
I see. Okay. As you can feel, quite a bit of emotions on this. I mean, I guess, when you want to be Santa, it's not just about, being that person just physically. I think it's also around kind of all the magic that surrounds all of this. And, you very well respect that as well. Which
I
is
have
awesome.
I have some elves, and the elves will get some first names from the kids, and they'll drop their names to me, not on every child, but they'll go, "This is Eric and Sarah." And so these guys are getting down, they're getting their coats, and they're getting ready to go out that way, and I'll look over and I'll go, Eric, Sarah. And they look at me and they're like, and I said, I've been waiting for you all morning. I'm so glad you showed up. You're running behind. And they fully believe that I'm there for them. They're convinced because I know them. I said their name. I'll see Christmas Eve. I'm going to leave out cookies and carrots for Rudolph, and it's just magical. And so I know for that time and that year, they're just ecstatic. And I got to do that for them. Hundreds of kids, I get to do that. What an honor. What an honor.
That's awesome. And I would love to ask you as well, you've been speaking a lot about kids, but I'm sure this magic, and I still feel it, also applies to adults.
And
Can you tell me some of the stories that you may have had around that?
Most of the adults, they're all children. We're all little girls and little boys. I don't care if they're 40, if they're 30. We're all little boys and little girls. And Santa Claus brings that out in them. No matter how macho they are or how wealthy they are, they get around Santa Claus. It's like the equalizer. They can be giddy. They can be a child again. Sit there, put their mom's kiss on my cheeks and get dad to get a picture of kissing Santa's cheek, whatever that they wanted to do. And they're still children, but they're adult children. And they have different photos and different poses and things they like to do. But I fulfill those too.
What has been one that's been very unique, for example?
I had a couple come in, and they had no children. I thought that was odd. They were young adults, but they sat and got some pictures, and then they stood up and looked at me and said, "Can you bless us?" And I said, "Pardon me?" And they said, "Can you give us a blessing?" And I blessed for him to be financially well, and I blessed her to have healthy children. And they started crying because he just got a job at Microsoft, and she just found out she was with child. And they were so ecstatic for that blessing, right? And I was honored. And then, later the day, I tried to take a break. My elves gathered me up and put my robe on me and tried to get me to a break. And these other couple came up and grabbed me physically. And I said, "Sir, I'm taking a break. Santa Claus needs to go potty." And, and they said, "We just want you to witness." And they proposed to each other.
My gosh.
I had tears in my eyes. What can you do? They were crying, proposing.
Wow.
So you realize how important it is to people.
Yeah.
To me and you as adults, we're like it's Santa Claus, But to some families out there, to some children, young families, it's very important.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much for walking us through some of those components. So as I told you, I mean, it's really feels like Santa is in front of me. I hope you're feeling the same way. Let's bring it back now a little bit into the scope of our discussion.
Sure.
Okay. And so now that we know a little bit about the tribulations of your stories, to the point of which you're presenting yourself today as a Mayday, let's dive first into your income and your assets.
Okay.
Just a brief aparté, guys, to encourage you, if you're interested in learning about people with different stories and background, to subscribe to our channel. This way, you can keep informed of very atypical stories and parcours. Now, let's get back to the video. First, I want to dive into that income section. Okay. So you work as Santa, but you mentioned you do it donation-based?
I do it donation-based. Like I told you, I got my original pension was cut in half. Social Security won't have nothing to do, even though I've had my heart attacks and stuff. So finances have been hard. And most certainly there's an organization with, I think it's 75 Santas in this area. And they have a rule on how much they charge to show up, how much an hour it is. And they don't want you to change from that because that's the set standard they have set. Mm-hmm. They make their income doing this. And the reason I know that they were upset that I was doing it for nothing, because there was no Santa, and I said I will volunteer to do it if you want to announce it. The companies announce it. I'll do it for free. I don't want the kids. They had no Santa. They said they won't be able to see a Santa this year. I said, oh, no. I don't know how to be a Santa, but I'll be one for that. And I did it, and it worked out great. I said I don't need no money. I take donations. If you want to pay me donations, you can. If you don't have any money, you parents, it's good. That's okay. The kids, I'm going to treat them the same. And they were lined up by the hundreds. And at the end of the day, I made a pretty little penny because it turns out there's a lot of people that have $5 or $10. They don't have $60 for a professional photo, but they got $5 or $10 in their wallet to come and bring their kid to see Santa sit in his lap. And I gave them whatever picture they wanted with their cameras, their own phones. They were ecstatic because they got that good photo of the peaks or the tree or whichever one they wanted. So it worked out really good for us, thankfully. It helped me, and the Lord knows I needed help. But the best part was I got to help hundreds and hundreds of kids every weekend through the month of December.
Okay. So looking at the amount of donation, how much are you able to make of that?
For the season?
For one day, for example.
For one day? Probably no less. I've made no less than $300 on a given day, but I haven't cleared any more than 500.
So you would say let's say about 400. Does that seem fair?
We can average it around 400.
Okay, and you're doing this every weekend, so twice a week during December. So about 8 times.
Saturdays and Sundays usually.
So looking at Santa, about 8 times a year, or more or less, it's about 3,200. On donations.
Yes.
Now, as you mentioned, on top of that, you're not living the big life because you're living off a pension. How much is your pension per month?
$761. It was a little over $1,500.
Oh.
But they changed the rules when I was having my heart attacks and stroke, and I couldn't work. They had changed the rules and voted that if you don't work till your retirement, 55, you get penalized. I didn't know that. Didn't matter. I'm still having my heart attacks and still sick, and now I'm 60. But at 55, I was able to kick in my retirement. But because I only put in 20 years and not 30 and worked till I was going to retire, they penalized me, and I draw 761 out of 1507, I think.
Okay, so 761. You also do the Santa. Do you have any other streams of income?
I do work for a gal that lives 2 places down from me. I watch her dog. For her during the day and give her a ride to work.
How much does she pays you per week?
$70 a week.
You're very nice. How many days a week do you keep the dog?
Monday through Friday.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm retired.
Yeah.
And I don't want the dog to be there by themselves. So the dog can be sitting there all by themselves all day, every day, or they can hang out with me. I'm not even going anywhere. I said, I can start, the joke now is I say, you rent your dog for $70 a week as a sleeping partner at night because the dog lives with me. The food's over here. The snacks are over here. I take care of the dog, and she loves me. But I couldn't, if I'm there, there's no reason I can't have the dog with me rather than sit by herself all day long. And if the owners wanted to give me some money on the side for it, then everybody's happy.
Nice. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that brings your monthly income net at 1,080.
Yes.
So per year, you are making around
just over $12,000.
Yeah, pretty much. When we look at this against the median in the United States, 50% make less, 50% make more. For people between your age of 55 and 64, the median is at 58,968. So, I mean, at 12,000, you're not going much anywhere. Okay. Let's now look at your assets. So you've been providing us with your statements. Thank you very much. You have on your checking account $20.
That's correct. It's near the end of the month.
That's right. And you also have a saving account with $5.
That's correct.
Do you have anything else?
I own my own car.
You own a car. Okay. What do you own?
I drive a 1998 one-wheel drive Jeep Cherokee because it's from California, but I got it at an auction really good price because it is only one-wheel drive, really.
One-wheel drive. It's not. It's
no,
like,
but it looks like a normal Jeep Cherokee, so nobody really knows that unless you drive it. And it does sit about 3 months out of the year when it's icy and snowy because it won't move itself out of its own tracks.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's it.
That's all I own.
Looking currently at 61 years old at your total amount of assets, assuming the value of your car of $2,500, is at $2,525. You don't have retirement funds neither, right? I'm sorry, I forgot to ask.
A what?
Retirement funds?
No, my retirement fund is my pension. And was supposed to, but I don't have a fund for it. No, I never have a fund for it. No.
You never put money for retirement?
Well, throughout my working career, we would take $1 for every hour that I worked and put it into a savings account. Okay. And that was so that every single year that would add up. But I ended up taking that money, which added between $1,800 and $2,200 a year, depending on how many hours a year you worked. I would spend all that on Christmas on my family, immediate family, my kids, my grandkids, Christmas tree, lights, whatever. And that would go towards the holidays so that I wouldn't rack up a big bill for the holidays. Everything was paid for.
So you've always been in that kind of holiday spirit all your life?
All my life. It was my favorite holiday.
But walk me through what happened for many decades that there was no money that was put on the side. Something must have happened.
I had 40 employees in 3 stores in 3 cities, and I was rocking and rolling in my day when I was in my youth. My younger days, but I just opened a 3rd store and used up pretty much 30-40 grand of my savings, and then the recession hit, and that was the first store in 9 months. I had to close. The very first store was the last store I opened. Then my 2nd store that I ever opened, and it was the first one with a drive-through, we closed it, and then my really hopping store just paid for itself. But I already had other issues that I owed money on from my other 2 stores, and then it was just a big bankruptcy. Just lost everything.
Oh, you lost everything.
My house on the water, my rental properties, my cars, my expensive cars, Volvos, Land Rovers.
So you used to.
But I did pay But I did pay every one of my employees. Every one of my employees got paid, because businesses will go out of business and won't pay people. They owe money to all their employees. We squared up everybody. We didn't pay our taxes, and the government didn't like us for that. But all our employees, all our employees were paid and taken care of, and that was first.
Wow, holy smokes. So you went through all those events, and today you're landing with $20.
Yes. And if there's anybody out there that hears this or sees this, it's the now that's important. That's where the joke's at. You start doing it now. You start using your money, investing your money. Your money should work for you. Nobody taught me that my whole life.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next segment now, looking at your expenses and your debt. Let's start first with expenses. I like to start with a
Sure.
fairly basic one. Your rent. How can you afford to live in the Seattle area
Well,
with $1,000?
I live on a yacht, a boat.
You live on a boat.
I live on a boat,
That's interesting.
that I don't own. That's not mine, and I don't pay the boat payment on it. But I keep up on it, and keep a mold off it, and keep it washed and cleaned up, so I get to pay a cheap rent there. And that includes my utilities, parking, my mailbox, even some bathrooms that are stocked and clean, so I can shower. I don't have to use my own boat for those purposes. And it's a private marina, and it's undercover, which is a 5-year
wow.
5-year waiting list to be undercover in fresh water. So it's a really nice arrangement. I have my cat. It's a solitary life, but me and my cat get along really well. Cats don't need a lot of attention, and when they want it, they want it. When they don't, leave them alone, and we're good with that. But my rent's $733 a month. I make $761. I need a couple of rolls of quarters for laundry, and then the rest goes into my gas tank. But for me living there and taking care of the boat and doing some maintenance and doing some other things that need to be done, those things are paid for me. The boat payment and the rent's paid.
So your rent is being covered
My
by
rent
who?
is being covered by a significant other.
Significant other. Okay. Do you have any phone bills? I mean, guys, it is crazy. The statement is 4 lines, but go ahead.
I have a flip phone that is
phone.
A flip phone is what's underneath the policy that my partner has, and I fall under her phone policy, and I got a flip phone. So I can text the old-fashioned way, like 3 letters to it, and I can answer a phone.
I see. Okay.
Or I wouldn't have any way of talking to anybody.
That's right. I mean, you have internet at the boat at least?
I have free Wi-Fi that comes and goes freely.
I see. But you have a computer at least.
I do have a little laptop that a friend gave me. He cleared his and gave me it because he went and bought a new one. Because I don't have TV, I don't have a stereo, I don't have recreation. I have my cat, I cook, I read, I help the neighbors. I watch animals for all of the marina. If they go on vacation, they'll pay me to watch their animal on their boat. Or, I don't do that often, but I have done that in my life. The 4 years that I've been there.
So your expenses are pretty much gas. About $100 on that one-wheel drive Jeep.
Yep. For the month.
For the month. Then I see some
that's
expenses.
Because gas is $5 a gallon.
It's ridiculous.
In Seattle,
Then I see some expenses around your laundry.
It's $2.50 to wash and $1 to dry, so it's $3.50 to wash a load. And you got to do a load at least every week. You got pillowcases, bathing towels, dish towels, your own clothes.
So you have your gas. You also have your pet.
I do have my cat, and
do you have pet insurance?
No, I wish I did, but I can't really afford that. I can afford to feed her and have some snacks for the month, and that's about it.
And then you have food.
And then that's the most expensive thing, believe it or not, for the entire month. For one person, it's about $500 to $600 because, a loaf of bread's $5, a half a gallon of milk's $5, a pound of beef's $8 now. I can't walk into a grocery store. It seems like. Fred Meyer's, by the way, in Seattle is I'll give them a shout out. Is probably the least expensive food to buy.
What about outlets? Have you considered outlets like grocery outlets?
I did. Example? I have gone to grocery outlet, and it is amazing. They have some decent prices. But you got to check dates and watch what you're buying.
Yes, but outlets are generally pretty nice.
But there is one. It is nice. I have gone there. I find that, and I know you don't know this, but. And it's kind of embarrassing to say it, but I'll say it for all the people out there that don't know. The food banks. I go to the food bank. Okay, let's talk about the food bank. It's when I first went to the food bank years and years ago, the first time in my life, you went in, you presented yourself, they ID'd you, they went through some paperwork, and then a gentleman went back there and on a pallet and loaded up bags of groceries and palleted it out, and you got to pick whatever he picked. Okay. And I cried the first time they did that for me because I got 2 bags of food and I had nothing at home and I was starving. Didn't even know I could go to a food bank. That was the first time. I found out they don't have personal female sanitary things. They don't have toothpaste. They don't have toothbrushes and toilet paper, paper towels. You don't get any of those things. So I wanted to give back to charity. And I said, whenever I get back on my feet one day, I want to give every month a package of toilet paper, a package of paper towels, personal hygiene things, or toothbrushes. So
you've been going to the food banks
So the food banks now, I want to educate you on the food banks now. They're like a small grocery store inside. Everybody's got to wait their turn. When it's your turn, you get a cart and you have a tag or a color. And you can get anything in those aisles you want under that color because you're a single man or you're a mom with a husband and 4 kids. Your color's different. Okay? But now it's a little more civilized.
I see.
And you get to go through and say, this is all the bread that they'll let me pick from today. And you say, yeah, I'll take that rye bread or I won't. But you get a little say what's in your and there's never, a great selection. There's always there's always peanut butter or some jam or something. They always have some old pastries.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
I'm honored to share it with you. Thank you for asking.
As I sum around your expenses for the months here, looking at your recent statement, you sum to around 890. So you have pretty much the money that you're making on Christmas on top of that I'm not accounting. What do you do with all this money?
Buy Christmas gifts for my immediate family and for my relatives and friends. They get together. 25 people get together. So I will be broke after it because the money that I receive out of donations, I spend back on Christmas. You don't show up to dinner without something. So you want to bring a pie you made or some meat. You got to bring something to be part of the family and fit normally in. You got to bring a white elephant gift so you can sit with the adults. So the extra money I earn will be for that. And I'll be grateful that I had money to buy the people I wanted to buy a gift for and to celebrate Christmas with those people. They don't know that I spent the last bit of money I have on. They don't know that, but they don't need to know that. It's okay. They go home and everything's fine. They go home thinking everything was great. And that's great because that's how it should be for the children.
I see. Okay, so...
I do take a dinner plate home with me, though, wherever I'm eating at. Some extra ham or something.
Okay. What is very nice to see, though, right now is, my friend, you have $0 of debt.
That is correct. I don't have any debt.
What is your credit score?
I haven't checked my credit score in 10 years. I couldn't tell you.
What do you mean? You don't use credit score anymore?
I don't use credit because I don't buy anything on credit. I won't buy a car and have a payment or TV. I don't use credit cards. I don't use any of those things. And it's very hard to secure anything like that because you have a limited income. And once they discover that, first of all, they discover that you're retired, you don't have a gainful job. Then they add up your retirement, which is never going to be huge anyway. Mm-hmm. And then they look at your bills and go, you're a risk. You're just a risk because you're old now.
Right.
That's it. Doesn't matter if you had an 8 on your credit score before. Doesn't matter. You're a senior now, and you can't, even though you still have an 8, you still can't buy anything. You don't have any buying power, nothing. No money, no assets. You don't have anything. You're a risk.
Okay, well, but how do you feel about this? Like,
I feel horrible. I feel ripped off by the United States government. That's how I feel. Because the unions switch the contracts for retirements and they move Social Security from 55 as a supplement for me to 62 as an early. That's a penalty if you take it at 62. They want you to take it at 67. And I've had heart attacks and a stroke and I can't get to my retirement money. I can't get to my supplemental pension. That's what the Social Security office, that's what it's for. For when I hit 55 and I can't produce the big income anymore, this supplements my retirement. And you ask me, well, how much is in there, John? $1,550 in my name, but I can't touch it till I'm 62.
Oh, so when you're 62, you're going to be able to, so next year you're going to be able to get 1,500? Okay, well that's going to be okay. That's yes. Okay,
Wait a minute,
something to look forward to.
If I live that long.
Yeah, I mean, no.
4 heart attacks, 3 heart surgeries, a stroke, Graves' disease. It's not looking like we can just count on some longevity here, but I'm determined. I'm pretty stubborn. I really want. The reason is my partner will financially benefit when I kick in my social. She'll have the option as my beneficiary to wait and kick hers in if it's going to be more, or just take mine and accept it as it is, and she gets both of them. And now all of a sudden My other's earning $23, $24 a month for the rest of her life,
Nice.
and can do some things that I couldn't do maybe. I thought I'd be financially independent when I was this age. I thought I could give to my grandchildren. I thought I'd have property to give them and things to will away. I had all of those things in my 30s, but I've lost them all. I don't have anything to give anybody, just a hug and some wisdom. And if I can sit with the kids every year and make their life a little bit better, what's the harm in that? What's a little love? We could all use a little love in this world.
That's right.
This may be the last Christmas for my mom, and I'm thinking about if she's actually going to, she won't know till the day of, but if she's actually going to go to the family function, I'm coming to Santa Claus.
No way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's her last Christmas. I'm going to be Santa Claus coming with my bag. Ho, ho, ho. I'll have her gifts. Probably my sister's gift, my brother's gift, everybody's gift. Tootling right there, because it's her last Christmas, man. And everybody will have their cameras. It's a special moment. If she can make it through Christmas, so we're going to make it special. I'm going to, for sure.
I told you guys this was going to be a ride. I am a little bit out of words. I mean,
Well, I don't want to tear up here.
yeah. No. It's out of words in a positive way. It's just that, never do you... I mean, myself, I don't know. I can't speak about everyone, but like sharing very quickly about myself a little bit, took the gamble to leave to leave France 10 years ago. My father is 78. He had a heart attack in 2008 as well. That's right. Yeah. We were working in the land industry in Vegas, and then dipped, and he never really recovered from it. And I mean, he's doing okay in France, 78, but I'm taking a gamble here in the United States. And often do I ask myself the question, is it worth it for me to... But at the same time, this is the land of opportunity,
It's only going to be up to you if it's worth it or not. Yeah. Somebody that chases the dollar will say it's worth every dime. Because, money isn't everything, but it rates right up there with oxygen. And then other people that are family and people will tell you, there ain't a dollar in the world worth your family and friends. So it's personal.
And I'm realizing that more and more.
You have to realize which one's important to you.
Yeah, I have been, not always, but I've been chasing the opportunity, the dollar amount, you could say, because nowhere would I be able to get the same salary now that I get in France. But little by little, I'm realizing...
What you gave up for that.
What I gave up for that.
And at the end, when you're my age, you say it wasn't worth it. I'm just going to tell you, because I made $120,000 a year, which back then... 30 years ago, wasn't a lot of money. I had a $120 million job, 500 people underneath me working for me. I mean, I was barking orders. I was somebody. We could build a 50-story high-rise in a year. I could change the landscape. You know what I'm saying? Chasing the dollar.
And in the middle of all of this, you didn't... What happened that you didn't foresee the person that you would be at 60 years old?
In the first 20 years, I was married to my first wife, and she was an assistant manager at a bank and made good money. And I made really good money, and I raised my 2 children, and we lived in Cherokee Bay, and I bought my kids cars, and that was the first bulletproof. I didn't look to the future. I was always going to work. I was always going to be the money maker. That's how you feel. That's what you think. But that's not how the case, your health fails, and you can't be that money maker anymore, and your retirement goes away, your pension goes away, and pretty soon you're like... And as a thought, at 61 years old, this is the first time in my life, this last year, that I haven't been able to financially be in control of my life to do what I want or say what I want. I am now dependent on my partner for my life to be what it is. And that is a new feeling for me. I've always been the one that they're grateful to, the one they're thankful for. Now I have to be the one that's grateful and thankful because somebody else is doing that for me. And it's not very comfortable. You want to support yourself, you always have, but when you're 61, you've had 4 heart attacks and a stroke, and your employer wants to know, can you pick that 70-pound box up over and over and over? Do you have anything limiting you? And you put things down because you don't want to be a fibber. They don't hire you. They don't say it's because you're old. They don't say it's because you've had your heart attacks. They say we decided to go with somebody else.
Okay. Great. So as we move a little bit now towards the next segment on our show, which looks at some of the components that I would do if I was in your spot. Okay. One of the first things that I want to ask you is, being in the Air Force should have provided you some type of veteran compensation. What's going on with that?
Well, that's true. There are different, it depends on the years. Unfortunately, here we go again. My sister used to tell me most of my life, if it wasn't for bad luck, you'd have no luck, John. I just don't understand. I served between 80 and 86. There was no conflicts of any sort during 80 and 86 that I could relate to or be involved in. I did go get ready. I did pack my beer. We were going to war. But we didn't actually do anything to go to war. So I don't have any extra benefits. I don't have access to the base of the PX for cheaper food or better fuel.
Oh, no way.
I get nothing. Now, before 80, all the way up to 79, and after 87, but the shot I was in gives me nothing.
Oh, God, dude.
Yeah, I know.
So, no military services, you mentioned. Second thing, do you believe by any chance that there is any line of work that you could get involved in? Maybe something online, for example.
I don't know of any job that I could do online for a company where they're paying me by the hour. I know of plenty of companies that I go to work for and work online and get paid a sales commission, we'll call it.
Right now, you're living off the funds that are provided to you by your partner.
That's correct. For the first time in my life, I'm relying on somebody else.
I mean, this is going to be a tricky question.
Go ahead.
Do you feel confident that you're going to be able to maintain this situation for a while?
Well, I'm trying to make it to 62, both live to 62, because at 62,
you get the $1,500.
I get $1,550
Right.
that I paid in, that I'm due my Social Security.
Right.
But between now and then, I'm totally relying on my partner.
But what are you going to do with the $1,500? I mean, it's not going to change your life, really.
Well, if I got the $1,550 plus my $761.
It's on top of that.
Yeah, that's my Social Security. I paid in. I'm supposed to get
That's
on top
right.
Of it. So it'd be
So
like
you're gonna be-
$2,300. Now I could pay. I
okay.
could pay my rent, do my laundry, put gas in my car, pay my own phone bill, insurance, and still have a little extra money to invest.
Very nice.
You know, to
Okay.
do, right?
Wow, that's the door.
But I'm 14 months from there.
You need to make it 14 months.
January 31st, I actually turned 61. I'm 60, but January 31st, I turned 61.
Yeah.
But I got to make it to 62 to become financially stable again.
Let me ask you a question that I know you might not. I mean, it goes everything against what you mentioned.
But go
I don't
ahead.
even know if I was going to ask you this question.
Just ask it.
You know, when we were young, my parents used to have a Santa service that they would, commission Santa to come for 20 minutes. And, they had the driver that would drop Santa, give the packages and so on for a night. And they would do that during the week of Christmas. And the Santa person would make, thousands of dollars during those nights.
Doing what?
So you have a driver,
Yeah.
you have the car, and you have Santa.
I have a Quincy and I have a car.
That's right. And they have their services that they publish online where it's Santa that comes and deliver the presents. And they come for about 20 minutes.
Come in, ho, 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 put them under the tree. Thank
Give the
everybody,
present, thank
eat
you,
a
everyone.
Cookie a little bit.
Exactly.
Merry Christmas and dash.
Yeah, but you would have to charge for that, which goes a little bit against your rule. But at the end of the day, this is a different type of service than the one that you're currently doing.
It's still a Santa Claus service.
That is still a Santa.
And I'm still in my suit, and I'm still bringing cheer. I'm just bringing gifts. They may not necessarily know that I'm not real.
But think about it as a service.
I am thinking about
you
that.
could very well, and like with much respect, I mean, guys, at the end of the day, our friend here has $20 on his account. So it's not like, we are asking crazy. There is a service. I don't know about how much the services are, but you could very well be making $100 in 20 minutes from doing that.
They do charge the Santa Claus organizations. I believe it's $250 to show, $400 for a couple of hours.
Yeah, but for you would want to multiply that and hit multiple neighborhoods.
I was already trying to figure out how to drive to each place and pull that off in a timely manner.
But that's kind of the timing. 20 minutes, and you can make. You can serve quite a bit if you're going and you have kind of a schedule and a business and social media and something kind of. You could be making something that could always complement. You know what? It's $2, $3, $4, maybe $3,000, $4,000. That's $400 a month. It's critical for you.
Well, the guys that are Santa Clauses for an income for the year, they book themselves up all of November, all of December, and part of January, and they're booked. At the end of January, they'll be booked all for next year, already booked up for the year.
Wow.
And they'll make their year's income off of those venues. Corporations hire them.
But you're not in that spirit. You're more.
Well, I'm more of a donation.
Yeah,
I don't want the kids to miss anything.
But here, in that case, you would be offering a service. I understand the donation aspect,
service.
and I fully respect and honor that. I feel like it's magnificent. But on the side, you could offer this service
to those that can afford it.
To those that can afford it. And, it's kind of like everything. You're offering a service. In this way, they are making the conscious choice of having you for this service. And at the end of the day, I think it's a very fair transaction for the joy that you
I think it's a great, yep.
I want to start for you to think about, give you a little bit more ease, because right now you're living month to month, $20. That's not a life.
I'm probably broke by the third week of every month. I'm at the food bank and not using my vehicle until I get paid again.
What is nice to know as well is that you're already leveraging a lot of the non-profit that exist, food banks, and I'm sure there is a lot for as well kind of the elderly population, which is nice to see, but it is imperative that you put yourself in a position where you at least have a little bit of an emergency fund. Because right now, while your health is covered, one of the biggest things that you've mentioned as well is your pet. And I don't want you to put yourself in a position where you can't financially afford if something was to arise. Okay, so I want you to put this as a target for you, kind of as a vision. Because when I think about recommendations in general in this show, I could tell you, hey, you need to save $2,000. What does that bring you? That brings you nowhere. Now, what I want to bring, though, is something that, as I learned and digested your story, yourself, I can understand, or not understand because I haven't lived it, but I'm able to identify what are some of the big things that are driving your life, right? And your health is covered, you're able to make it out of $761 per month, so, things like this. But one of the big things that you mentioned it multiple times, is your pet. And as a financial goal, it has to relate to the person that I'm saying it to you. And for you, I want to bring that behavior once you get the money starting, or once you think about creating additional income, that it's going towards, if something was a rise to my pet, I would be able to afford that. And I think that is going to give you the motivation to do something around this. So I want to give you a target. I want to try for you over the next couple months. Now it's going to be up to you because it's not easy, but to try and save on little things that you can do on the side around $2,000. And I want to give you about 6 months to make it happen. Do you think that you can pull it off?
Yes.
Okay. And I want you to picture this in your mind, as this is not for me. This is if something arises that needs immediate attention, I have the funds ready for that. You're not doing this for you. You're doing this because that's how you think.
Alice, my cat.
You think for Alice. Now, you know, if something would arise to you, then you would be able to use those funds. But putting yourself outside of this situation and think, I'm doing this for Alice because Alice really counts for me, and goes with the spirit of everything that you've been telling me so far, with the kids, with the people, and so on. I think that would be a great drive for you to think about creating additional income and some of the processes that we mentioned together.
But I do have things I can sacrifice and cut back on and slow down on to meet that bench goal in 6 months.
$2,000, 6 months.
There's always some things I can trim and do.
Do you shake my hand that you're going to make it happen?
You going to be here?
I will not be here. I
We
will be in
can
Los
Skype.
Angeles, but we'll
can
Skype. And I will take commitment that I will put your
Don't forget me.
update
Don't forget me.
on Instagram with the video and for people to see.
All right.
Do you have any final words, both from the person that you've been for 61 years old, and also I would love for you to end on the spirit of Christmas as, actually, I will, for the first time ever, I will not be the one ending the video. I want for you to end the video in the spirit of the time now. And
Well, you're going to make me choke up already. I think everybody needs to get out there, hug everybody. If you haven't seen somebody or talked to somebody in a while, now's the time to pick up the phone, write them a letter. Everybody loves getting a letter. Write everybody a little I love you and send it off. Get in the spirit. It's the holidays. This is the time we all love each other. Give. And smile. Slow down. Don't beep your horn. Be a little more patient. It's that time of the year. Just be patient. Everybody's trying to get somewhere this time of the year.
Hey guys, first I want to thank you for watching the video if you've made it till here, and for your support as well on the channel since we've launched about 6 months ago. Also, as we were going through the editing on that video, we thought that it would be great maybe to start a GoFundMe for John, or also known as Jolly Old Santa. So I'm gonna put a link in the description. Feel free to go in and check it out. No obligations, nothing. But we felt that if people had the kindness to maybe share something, know that 100% of the money that will be raised will be given back to him. So again, guys, thank you so much for supporting us so far. We are excited for what's to come with the next year, and we see you in the next video.